Hello and welcome to PAC Outdoors. My name is Paul. Thank you for joining me in my back garden for a little bit of back garden bushcraft. In this video I'd like to share with you part 5 of my sort of wild camping, bushcraft, cooking system series of videos, and this time I'm going to be looking at my Hobo stove setup, which is contained in this this dry sack. So if I just open the dry sack up and show you what it contains. In the top I have my Crusader cup, stainless steel with aluminium lid. I'll set to one side. I have in effect two stoves in here that nest together. Put the dry sack out the way. The first stove is an IKEA cutlery stand drainer with a Kelly kettle Hobo stove top, and I'm not going to be firing this one up today, but how I use this is simply to take the top off, put the tent pegs through the top holes like so, then I can drop the Hobo stove top from the Kelly kettle on top and it won't slip, and air inlet holes around the actual cooker itself. I haven't altered that in any way, and once the stove is lit and is in full sort of swing, I can feed fuel in through that top slot there while the cooking pot sits on top. But the stove I'd like to show you now is crafted, and I use the word crafted very tongue-in-cheek, from a large dog food can, like so, aluminium dog food can. It cost me £1 from Tesco's. And I've turned that dog food can once I'd emptied it, and I don't have a dog, I have 2 cats who aren't very keen on dog food, but the hedgehogs seem to like it. And I fashioned this Hobo stove from the can. It's very much trial and error with these stoves. As you can see at the bottom, I've roughly cut out a slot and punched a number of air inlet holes at the bottom, so those are to serve the purpose of allowing air in to be drawn up through the stove in a chimney effect. And then the top hole at the very top is basically to feed fuel in once the stove is lit, because once the pot is on top of the stove, without that inlet there you wouldn't be able to feed the stove. And with the Hobo stove, unlike the wood gas stove, you need to be continually feeding wood into the stove. So that's the stove I want to show you today in this video, or in this particular video, part 5. And when on soft ground, I can secure this stove to any soft ground with a couple of tent pegs, so it's nice and stable. So what I'm going to do is use sorry, phone's shaking. I'm going to use 150 grams of wood, which you can see down here. I've weighed it, might be 160 grams, slightly over, to attempt to get a rolling boil in about 5-6 minutes. And I have a further 150 grams of wood here, bringing a total of 300 grams, and I would expect a total burn time with all of that of about 20 minutes or so. So it's very sort of it's very efficient, this stove, and it does burn wood, and quite a lot of it, very quickly, so you have to continually feed it. So what I'm going to do now is fill the Crusader cup with half a litre of water, 500 millilitres of water, like so. Move that out the way, and then I'm going to use some birch bark, and I'm going to ignite that with my ferrocerium rod. That's the intention anyway, to get that going, and then I'm going to ignite the feather sticks which I prepared, which I really like. Going to drop those in, and then we'll feed it with these smaller sticks to get it going, and then we'll add bigger pieces of wood as the stove burn progresses. So move the Crusader out of the way. Sometimes it goes straight away, and sometimes you have to work at it. Put that one in, careful not to burn myself. Okay, the stove is going really nicely now, so I'm going to start feeding wood in from the front. And also going to put the Crusader up on the top. First of all, we'll just find the stopwatch, and we'll set the clock going. Don't know whether you can see that, but we'll set that going. We'll put the Crusader cup on top, like so. In fact, I need to just take it off again because to stabilise the stove a little. The thing to be wary of as well, when you put the cup onto the stove and you start feeding it through the top, is to make sure that you don't have the handle directly underneath the wood that's going in. If it does burn very, very quickly and very, very hot. It's just died down a little bit there, but you can see at the bottom you've got all of these coals, so it's important to keep those air inlets clear as best you can. And this stove, this style of stove, does burn very, very hot and very smoky, so you will get sooting of your pots. Whereas with the wood gas stove, once it's fired up and it's lit at the top, and then it burns down through a full stove full of fuel. Once the wood gas starts to be produced and burned off through the top vents, it does burn relatively cleanly. Not totally clean, you still get sooting, but not as much as you will with a Hobo style stove. So the cost of this stove was £1 from Tesco's, and I've not used any elaborate tools to fashion these holes, these inlets. I've just sort of punctured the can in strategic places and then use a pair of scissors. I'm going to tell my other half because she'll go spare, because they were our best kitchen scissors, so please keep that between you and me. But it is a high maintenance stove, but that's not really an issue because it's quite an enjoyable thing actually. You know, we like playing with fire. We need warm water for hot water for brewing up and washing and other tasks around camp, etc. Whereas with the wood gas stove, you can light it, you can fill it, light it, and with with it being half full, the wood gas stove, particularly with cat litter pellets, you get a 30-minute burn without having to look at it again with a full stove in ideal conditions with wood pellets. You'll get, in fact I have had over an hour. So with normal wood found in your environment, then I would expect those burn times to be lower because of the density of the material and possibly moisture, etc. So we'll cut away now for a few minutes, and we'll come back when we have a little bit more to report. Well, we're now 6 minutes into the burn, from the point where we put the Crusader cup with that ½ litre of water onto the top of the stove, and we have plenty of bubbles, and I don't think we're far away from a rolling boil. Don't think we're far away at all. So as you can see, after 8 minutes we have a full rolling boil, which is really good, and the stove has actually consumed the 160 grams of fuel that I've prepared for it, and I have another sort of 150 grams available, so I could keep this stove on a rolling boil like this now for probably another 10 minutes or so, to give it a total boil time with just over 300 grams of fuel of about 20 to 24 minutes. So like we said, just to recap, it's very important to make sure that those air inlets at the bottom are kept reasonably clear, so that the air can go in there and oxygenate the burn, and then the stove will draw the air through with a chimney effect, and it burns so much more efficiently if you can manage to do that. So this is my first real attempt at fashioning a Hobo stove from a dog food can, and they do work. So hopefully this has been useful, and you can take something from it. And once again, thank you for visiting, and please leave any questions that you may have and comments below, and I look forward to uploading or making and uploading more of my own videos of my outdoor interest, and viewing more of yours. Thank you very much. See you next time.